Good day, my friends. Today we are at Arlington National Cemetery. This is my first time. I'm very excited to see and pay my respects to the people buried here. Daze with Jordan the Lion begins now. They do have a little trolley system you can use if you want to, but I'm going to do it by foot today. There's a walking path that takes you through there. I'm going to go this way. I want to start over on this side of the cemetery. There's a couple of people right next to each other. The first that we're going to stop and see is former President William Howard Taft. Right up these stairs. Pretty spectacular cemetery. Nice big memorial here. William Howard Taft, 1857 to 1930, President of the United States, Chief Justice of the United States, his wife, Helen Herron. So William Taft was our 27th president, and he was the 10th Chief Justice of the United States. Only person to hold both offices. He was elected in 1908, and he was the chosen successor of Theodore Roosevelt, who was pretty popular for his time, but was defeated in his re-election by Woodrow Wilson. He ended up running as a third-party candidate, and in 1921, Warren G. Harding appointed him the Chief Justice a month before his passing. Also interesting to note that he was from Cincinnati, Ohio, and was a member of the Skull and Bones Club at Yale. And William Howard Taft's father was actually one of the founding members of the Skull and Bones Club. So pretty much directly across the street from where William Howard Taft is buried, right over there is our next grave that we want to visit. So now we're going down these steps. So here we have the grave of Medgar Evers, who I first heard about. There was a movie on HBO years ago that they talked about his death. And his story was that he was in the World War II in the Army. And when he came out, he became a civil rights activist. He became state field secretary for the NAACP. And after the Brown versus Board of Education ruling, he got involved in trying to help make sure that the University of Mississippi allowed integration. And so he ended up being murdered by a man named Byron de la Beckwith, who was a member of the White Citizens Council in Jackson, Mississippi. The group was formed to resist the integration of schools and civil rights activism. Evers was buried here with military honors. He challenged the segregation of the state-supported Public University of Mississippi, applying to law school there. He also worked for voters' rights, economic opportunity, access to public facilities, and other challenges the segregated societies were dealing with. The trial for his murder inspired civil rights protests and numerous works of art, and an all-white jury failed to reach verdicts in 2 trials, with Beckwith walking free until 1994 in a new state trial based on new evidence. He was finally convicted. Right here you can see the grave of Robert Todd Lincoln. Of course, related to Abraham Lincoln. And his wife is on the other side, named also Mary, Mary Harlan Lincoln. And if you notice on the front, look at what the name of their son was. Their son, Abraham Lincoln II. Robert was actually pretty impressive because he was the only one of the Lincoln children to live to adulthood. He was a lawyer, businessman, politician, and he was the oldest son of Abraham Lincoln and Mary Todd. He also served as the U.S. Secretary of War and the U.S. Ambassador to the United Kingdom. He ended up serving under James Garfield and Chester Arthur. Also graduated from Harvard. You see all kinds of people have carved their name into the tree next to their grave for some reason. Okay, we have a sign here that is coming up, but we weren't to stop at Thurgood Marshall on the way. And from what I'm noticing, they don't even allow you to bring your vehicle onto the grounds here. You have to park and walk it or do the little trolley. So actually on our way, it wasn't even online anywhere yet because it's so recent, but I just noticed someone off to the side. We're gonna stop and visit RBG. So right over here, this must be reserved for the Supreme Court justices, because right here we have Martin David Ginsburg, First Lieutenant of the Army, and his wife, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Supreme Court of the United States, Associate Justice 1993 to 2020. And then just beyond, Chief Justice Warren Earl Burger, 1907 to 1995, with his wife. We have a general here, quite a few generals. But then right over here, we have Justice Thurgood Marshall, who was an associate justice, argued the Brown versus Board of Education. He was the first African-American Supreme Court justice. He's had a lot of things named after him. And then just to the left of him is Justice Harry Blackmun, Associate Justice, Supreme Court of the United States, 1970 to 1994, with his wife Dorothy. And then right in front of him you'll see Justice Stevens, Associate Justice, John Paul Stevens, 1920 to 2019. And here we have Major General Commandant George Barnett of the United States Marine Corps during the First World War. And then this giant one here is for John Wingate Weeks, United States Naval Academy Class of 1881, House of Representatives, United States Senator, and Secretary of War. I don't believe they're letting anyone up there today. All right, now we're taking these stairs up to John F. Kennedy. There it is, President John F. Kennedy. Assassinated 1963, stunned the world, left a hole in the heart of man. Next to him is Patrick. And then of course to the right of him is Jacqueline. And then next to them, it says daughter. August 23rd, 1956. Growing up, I used to see so many documentaries on his death and the aftermath. You know, like the searching for Oswald and the funeral procession and his kids. Just heartbreaking. I'm noticing that Patrick was only 2 days old. And of course the eternal flame. So it's actually right at the bottom of the house. And his brothers are also buried here. I hate to make a punk rock joke, but the other dead Kennedys. You can see one lone grave over here with the cross. That is Bobby. Robert Francis Kennedy, 1925 to 1968. Murdered in the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles. Incidentally, I believe Sirhan Sirhan, the man that did it, or of course, you know, there's always conspiracy theories that it wasn't him and somebody else or groups of people, but I believe he was just granted parole. Surely, most people agree this would have been our next president, most certainly, had he not been assassinated that night. Of course, always the rumors of JFK and Robert and Marilyn Monroe and all that conspiracy. And then of course we have Ted Kennedy, who passed away a few years ago. Bobby also at the bottom of the house. John Kennedy is right over there. We just walked from over there. And Teddy is right over there. You can see there's another cross. I'm really shocked that they got these pristine spots by themselves. Not to take anything away from them. I know that Ted Kennedy served for a long time, but it just seems interesting that they got these by themselves. Edward Moore Kennedy, Ted Kennedy. Did a lot for education, but I don't think people will ever forget the Chappaquiddick incident. And I'll tell you something funny that he probably wouldn't even mind me telling, but I remember when I was friends with Shelley Winters when she was alive, she would often tell me different stories. Things would pop into her mind, she would tell me different stories. And I think it was when my family came out to visit, my mom was talking to her about when she met John Kennedy and how nervous she was and everything, and then asked if she ever kissed him. And she said no, but she said that she was at a pool party and Ted Kennedy slipped her the tongue, and she said it was one of the best kisses she ever had. I couldn't believe it. Good job, Ted. So there's Teddy and Bobby and JFK just over there. And then just over here, just beyond Edward, who's right there, we have the oldest brother, Joseph Jr. Joseph Kennedy Jr. World War II, Navy Cross, Distinguished Flying Cross, Purple Heart, Air Medal. Well, my friends, I think for now we're gonna call it a day on this video and come back and see me in the next video. We'll see a little bit more. There's no way we'll be able to see everyone in the time that I'm here, but plus I want to save things for when I come back someday. But we're gonna see a lot more in the next video. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. Have a great night and goodbye.